GOAT. Let's talk about the GOAT. Tom Brady, his 10th Super Bowl appearance. This is his third Super Bowl appearance after 40, which is more Super Bowl appearances than Peyton Manning and Drew Brees and a lot of guys had in their career, and he's done that past 40. He's the GOAT. You know what I mean? You can't argue it. You know what I mean? Like, I used to kind of battle him and Joe Montana, but that Falcons game, what he did in that Falcons game, and they were down by all them points, he brought them back. I was like, man, that's the GOAT right there. You know what I'm saying? In the biggest moment, down by those points, he stayed poised, brought his team back like he's done so many times before, and they won that Super Bowl. So he's the GOAT. But what I want to talk about is something that I brought up on my Instagram, where I said, let's be real. You know what I mean? Tom Brady went to a team with elite receivers. They had, solid tight end, and they had a Gronk to that, and they had a solid defense. So then they went also added some Hall of Famers. We look at what they did. So a lot of people got offended by that. Oh, you're hating on new Tom Brady. You're hating on the GOAT. People don't want to give him credit for his greatness. That's false. That's just ignorant. If somebody calls somebody the GOAT, they're already recognizing that they're the greatest. Now, hating would be if you just said, I don't like your shoes, I don't like your girl. But if you have a proper reasoning and bringing up a point to say, let's not act like he went to the Jets or the Jaguars, you know what I mean? You're making a valid point. We look at the Buccaneers. They have, they had elite receivers. Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, elite receivers. He didn't have that on the Patriots. You know what I mean? Tom Brady chose to leave the Patriots because he believed they didn't have enough for him to chase another ring. Tom Brady doesn't play for records. He doesn't play for stats. He plays for rings. Only reason he's still playing, and he chose to move is to chase a ring. Straight up, and he's a smart man. He knew what he wanted to go to a team that had pieces. They had elite receivers. They had, O.J. Howard, a solid tight end. And then he knew that he can get them to, part of the deal him signing, I'm sure, is, you're going to add more pieces that I want. So they wouldn't got Gronk for him. The Buccaneers weren't going to sign Gronk. He was retired. Tom Brady told him to do that. That's a fact. Bruce Arians did not like the thought of signing Antonio Brown, but Tom Brady got him to do that. Antonio Brown is living at Tom Brady's house right now. You know what I mean? I think that was part of the deal, is that, Tom Brady would, overlook him so he wouldn't get out of control and cause a problem. You know what I mean? So, Tom Brady knew that they had pieces. They have a solid defense. They have Jason Pierre-Paul had 2 sacks against Aaron Rodgers in that NFC Championship. Shaquille Barrett had 3. They got Levante David. They got Devin White. They got talent, you know what I'm saying? They got Antoine Winfield Jr. They got some talented players, you know what I mean? I want to name another guy, Carlton Davis at corner. You know what I mean? They got talent. They got a solid defense, a top 6 defense. And when you look at that NFC Championship game, Tom Brady didn't have his best game. He threw 3 interceptions, but it was still enough to win. Why? Because they have pieces. If he threw 3 interceptions with the Patriots, with the squad they had this year, they would have lost. You know what I mean? So a lot of people got offended. Oh my gosh, why people won't give the GOAT credit and they want to hate on him. No, you're just a fan, and you let your emotions control your objectivity. You know what I'm saying? You can't think clearly. So using the point that Tom Brady is smart, even the fan can say, yeah, he's smart. He went to a team with pieces. Yes, he did. So we're not going to act like he took the Jets to the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? Now you can say, oh, the Buccaneers wouldn't go without him. Nobody said they would. They were a solid team that they needed a quarterback. Just like the Broncos with Peyton Manning. The Broncos had a great defense. They had a solid run game. They had some, solid receivers. They got Peyton Manning in there. Boom. And they were Super Bowl contenders the 2 years he was there. Okay, just like that. So we look at it as a similar situation with Tom Brady. He went to a team that had a solid defense and solid weapons. That's a fact. I'm not going to argue that with you. Now, the Buccaneers wouldn't be as good without him. That's also a fact. Jameis Winston had 30 picks. That definitely hurt them. He's not even a starter in the league anymore. If they had a better quarterback, would they be better? Yes, they would. You know what I mean? Even Bruce Arians was tough on Jameis last year, saying, his team was better. They'd be a lot better if they didn't have a quarterback throwing 30 interceptions. You know what I mean? So that lets you know turnovers are huge in football if you know the game, and 30 turnovers are huge. Not hating on Jameis. He's doing his thing. He's going to get an opportunity, hopefully somewhere. But if we're not going to compare Jameis Winston and Tom Brady, we're just not going to do that. Because we already know who gets the short end of the stick. All right. So a lot of people, I want to clarify myself on that, where people want to get too emotional when it comes to Tom Brady. And you know what I mean? And, you know what I'm saying? Y'all be acting like weenies. You know what I'm saying? Y'all acting like real weenies, goofy as hell. When somebody makes a solid point that Tom Brady was an intelligent, smart man, and he went to a team that he knew had the pieces to help him chase a ring. That's the only reason Tom Brady plays, to chase rings. We got